Hello, it's Dawn Michelle from Boho Tarot, and today I'm going to share with you a little bit more about how I do a waterfall reading. So this was a reading that I showed in one of my videos about my tarot practice and how I work with my cards, and I've had several requests from people to explore this reading more in depth. So I thought today I would just sit down and kind of walk through the process in a little bit more depth. Today we're going to be using the Tarot de Maria Celia because it's a nice little pocket-sized deck. So the concept behind the waterfall reading is a reading that is essentially a 9-card reading. So in total, you're going to have 9 cards. And rather than laying the 9 cards at the beginning of your week, you're going to lay 3 rows of 3 cards throughout the week. Now, generally, I do it on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, using Tuesdays and Thursdays as my sort of reflection days. So the idea basically behind the reading is to develop a reading slowly over the course of a week. You can also do it over the course of a month. So you could do a reading, your first line of 3 cards at the beginning of the month, your next 3 at the middle of the month, and your final 3 at the end of the month. So what this reading basically does is encourages you to slow down and pay more attention to the individual pieces and parts of a reading. So the reason I developed this was because after reading for so many years, I find that sometimes my reading gets a little bit routine and I tend to kind of just fall back on the same structures, keywords, processes. And when that happens, I find that I don't tend to go very deep into my reading. So how this works, how I do it, is I pull 3 cards on Monday. So we have the Ace of Swords, the Magician, and Temperance. So these 3 cards would provide the base for my message on Monday. So this is the setup for my week. This is the energy for my week. Now you can assign positions to each of these 3 cards. I tend to just read them together as kind of like one sentence. So if you were to think of this reading as building a paragraph, this would be your first sentence, the second line would be your second sentence, and the third line would be your final sentence of your paragraph. And that's kind of how I look at it. It's a little bit Lenormandy in that sense, but I like the structure that it gives without having to assign specific meaning to each position. However, you are certainly welcome to, if you want to look at this as past, present, future, if you want to look at this as energy you're releasing, energy you're embodying, and energy that you need to bring into your life, that works just as well. But the whole idea of the waterfall reading is to keep in mind that this is basically one part, the first part of a 9-card reading. So our first line here, for me, and how I do this is the 3 cards I pull on Monday, and these are the 3 cards that provide my energy for the week. So after I've done my 3-card reading on Monday, for me personally, I take a photo and then that goes into my journal. I also do my journaling. For a waterfall reading, a lot of times I don't actually put it into my tarot journal to the end of the week, but I do my journaling on that day and I keep it on a separate sheet of paper. It's just a scratch paper that I just real quick write down my thoughts and my notations on it, which also allows me to go back later and add to it if I want to. So these 3 cards, I don't leave them sit out because I do not have space to do that. Now, if I had a separate reading table, I might be tempted to leave these 3 cards out for the day. I do not. My tarot reading table is also my crafting table, and so my cards need to go away when I shift gears from reading to crafting because I don't want to accidentally mess them up. So what I do is these 3 cards get picked up. If I could pick them up, they get set on the top of the deck the wrong way, and they get put away, right? And I set that aside, and on Tuesday, I will come back to the reading I have put in my tarot journal, and I'll look for any deeper meanings, deeper insights, and perhaps journal a little bit more about some reflections. Sometimes I just sit with the cards and think about the message that I got yesterday. So Tuesday's kind of a reflection day. So then come Wednesday, the middle of the week, I get my deck back out. And because these 3 cards were in order, I lay them back out. So I do not reshuffle them back into the deck because, again, we're not doing a separate reading on Wednesday. We're continuing this same 9-card reading. I'm just breaking it up throughout the week. So at this point, usually what I do is I shuffle the deck to get my 3 cards for the middle of my week. Now, the same as these 3 cards, you can assign positions. So you could also take any basic 9-card reading in terms of positions, and you could apply that to this particular reading. You just don't do them all at once. And as I said, the whole idea of this reading is to approach it slowly and to let it unfold throughout the week. Now they're all the right way. So this would be my midweek message. Now, when I'm reading this message, I'm reading it now not only as a 3-card reading for the midweek check-in. This is kind of where we're at. So how I look at this one is this is the energy for the week, and this is how that energy is progressing and manifesting, as well as what do I need to know to continue on with my week. So I read this as an individual 3 cards for how is the energy progressing and what do I need to know to continue on to the end of the week. But I also read it as now a 6 card. So we're keeping in mind that this is always part of the larger 9-card spread. So this would be our energy. This is how it's unfolding and what we need to look forward to for the next week. Again, you can assign any sort of meaning or positions to these cards. I tend to do them as kind of a general overall energy and what do I need to know to manifest. And most of the times that's in terms of my personal growth. So this is not specific to any sort of situation. For me personally, I would do a separate reading on the situation if I had questions about that. So the waterfall reading that I do is basically like an energetic awareness and an energetic check-in, and then we'll come down to the last line, which is basically what the overall message was. So this is our line from Monday, this is our line from Wednesday, and now I've taken this line and read it as 3 cards, as well as incorporated the 3 cards from Monday for now a 6-card reading on Wednesday. As before, these 3 cards now get stacked up, put the wrong way on the deck so that I can tell them apart, and put back in their little home. Then come Thursday, we're back to the journal because now, of course, at this point, I have put both of those readings into my journal and I reflect back on those cards that I pulled earlier that week. Now, the idea here is, again, to slow down, to look for deeper meaning and deeper messages. And sometimes that doesn't come till after the reading for me. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to distance yourself from the reading in the moment to gain that perspective. And by putting it in your journal and coming back and allowing those kind of rest and reflection days in between, you kind of create that space to create that perspective that you need to maybe understand what's going on and the message that the cards are telling you. So I build that space into the ritual, into the reading itself, so that we can continue on with our 9 cards. So come Friday, we're back to our deck. And again, I've got my 6 cards the wrong way, so I can lay them back down. I am not reshuffling them back into the deck because, again, this is part of a larger 9-card reading that takes place over an entire week. So now I'm going to shuffle again. And then I lay my final 3 cards. So now come Friday, I've actually done a 9-card reading for the week. And this is kind of like, again, same as Wednesday. I read this as the 3 cards on its own. So this would be kind of my final message, but then I also read them in terms of the overall 9-card spread. So it's important, I think, when doing the waterfall reading to think about this not as 3 individual readings, but as one 9-card reading that takes place over the course of several days or several weeks, depending on how you do it. I have done waterfall readings that take place over the course of a whole month, and those are really interesting because that gives you lots of lead time to work with each individual line and to really explore each of those cards in depth. And as I said, one of the reasons that I developed this reading was because I was finding that I was rushing myself through my daily draws, right? My weekly readings. It was just kind of becoming habitual. I was rushing through them. I wasn't really taking the time to sit and explore each of the cards in detail and the message as a whole. So this particular reading helps me to really slow down and to really focus on what each card is saying. Now, come Friday, I've got a whole 9-card spread to look over. So generally on Friday, I will look at the whole spread as the 3-card and as the 9-card and look for the message that basically evolved over the week, that cascaded down. The energy from here cascades down into, the check-in of how that energy is going, which cascades down to how did that energy actually manifest. Now, this is a pretty big reading for just 1 week. So generally what I like to do is take some time over the weekend as well to look back and reflect on this reading and the message, and that's the reason I put a lot of it into my journal. And by having my journal, which I have a printout of the actual spread and my thoughts and my notations for each card, that allows me to go back and really dive deep into what this message meant for me that particular week, what insights I gained, and what I learned. So a couple of the key points to doing this particular waterfall reading is to not shuffle your cards, your line back in each new time you pull cards. So when we do the reading on Monday, we do not shuffle these 3 cards back into the deck. They come out, they are a part of the overall reading, remember, because we're not doing a whole separate reading. So when we pull cards, these 3 cards on Wednesday, we've already laid these 3 out. We've already pulled them out of the deck because they are already a part of the reading. And then again, the same with Friday. We've already pulled all of these 6 cards out so that when we shuffle, we're not mixing them back in because again, they are already part of the reading. So that's kind of the key element to doing this reading, is to make sure that the cards remain outside of the deck whenever you're pulling new cards, because you don't want to shuffle them back in because now you're getting a new reading. So now a couple variations on this reading. You could do a single 3-card reading for the whole week and still use the waterfall effect. You could visually let it cascade down, or you could just lay it in a row as we traditionally see for 3-card readings. So on Monday, you pull your 1 card, and that is your card, your energy for the day. And then on Tuesday, you can go back and you can look for deeper insights into that card that you pulled. Then on Wednesday, you can pull another card. And this now becomes a 2-card reading. So we take the single card from Wednesday on its own. What does that message mean? And then what does it mean when we combine it with our card from Monday? How is that energy progressing? And then on Friday, we pull our 3rd card and we see how did that energy manifest itself. Now, again, you could assign individual positions for each of these cards. But again, the idea of the 3-card waterfall, or as I also called this one, just the slow read, is basically you're pulling 1 card individually, you're allowing that space in between. So we have our card from Monday, space in between on Tuesday to reflect on what we read on Monday. Then we have our card for Wednesday, which we look back at both this card and this card. So we take it as a 2-card reading at this point. Then we have space on Thursday to reflect back on what we saw on Monday and Wednesday. And then finally, we have our card on Friday, which now we have a 3-card that we take into consideration. And again, you can create that space on Saturday or over the weekend to look back and gain some deeper insights into that 3-card reading as a whole. So that is one variation on on the waterfall effect. You can do the waterfall effect with the 2-card reading. So we pull 2 cards on Monday, reflect on Tuesday. We pull 2 more cards on Wednesday. Now remember, we're not shuffling these back into the deck. We are always keeping our cards out. And then we pull 2 more on Friday. So it doesn't really matter how many cards you do this with. However, the idea is to dive deep into the cards, so you wouldn't probably want to do too terribly many, or you're going to find yourself probably overwhelmed. Another alternative would be to do a sort of waterfall or slow reading with a card a single day. So we pull a card on Monday, then we pull a card on Tuesday, and now on Tuesday, we take this card and we look at it as a card of its own on a standalone message, but then how does it relate back to now this is a 2-card reading? And then on Wednesday, we pull a 3rd card. And so again, we take this card at its value, at its own meaning, and then we look at it in terms of a 3-card spread. Then on Thursday, we pull our 4th card. And again, same principle. Take this card. What does this card mean for us today? And then how does it relate now that it's in a 4-card spread? And then again on Friday. Now, of course, you could continue on and do, Saturday and Sunday as well. In my personal practice, I don't pull cards on Saturday. That's a day for other things for me. And I pull cards throughout the week and on Sundays. But again, it's really tied into your personal practice and how you like to do things. So lots of different variations on the waterfall effect, but the basic idea behind this particular reading is to take time to slow down and to understand that this is one reading that we're going to let unfold throughout the course of a week or a month or however long you decide to have it. And the important thing is to remember not to shuffle your cards back in, because we're not doing 3 separate readings here. We're doing one reading that takes place over the course of an entire week. Now, for me personally, I find that it's very important to journal in between, because that's how I find the deeper meaning in my cards, is when I go back and look at them. The first time I lay cards and I look at my reading, I get my initial intuitive hit, I get my initial message, but generally I find that there are deeper messages underneath. There are deeper layers that I don't see at first glance. And so by going back to my journals, by keeping my journals and going back to my readings, I can sometimes uncover those deeper layers. And for me, that's just a really interesting aspect of reading tarot and of keeping a tarot journal, because it does allow you to do that. So that is a deeper look at how I do the waterfall reading. I hope that you found this video helpful. Let me know if you've tried your own waterfall reading, or if you have something similar that you do. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video and will join me again soon for more creative tarot for an inspired life.